Aggregate MMA.
Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy, Aggregate MMA, coming to you with our final aggregate count of the week for UFC 304 Edwards versus Muhammad. So, guys, this looks like it's going to be a pretty good card. A lot of heavy favorites. I don't think it's going to be a great week to try to, you're not going to smash any big, big money line type situations because there's a lot of favorites on this card. And I firmly believe a lot of the favorites are going to win. And as you're going to see in a second, most of the top handicappers in the field agree with me on that. So we're just going to keep this video short, sweet, and to the point, get you what you're here for, which is the numbers, show you the cappers briefly that we like. It's going to be We Want Picks, Angelo, Jacob, and Artem. Three great guys making some great picks. MMA experts, AJ and Finch. DFS by the numbers, Brady and your boy Uncle Weezy. Mayo Media Network, you got the Dogger Pass Show with Cody. Anakin Florian podcast. I love Kenny Florian's picks. Kunath with Kunath. MMA Guru. I promised you guys the Guru would be back on the good side of things for this show, and he is. MMA Fortune Teller. Any Extra Sports Cast with Effie. MMA Odds Breaker with Adam and Marcel. UFC Gambling Addicts. Money City, the guy who constantly says things are dusty. Pure Picks, we like James. And Pick'em MMA, the dude's name is unknown. These are the cappers we will endorse. These are the guys that we would suggest that you watch if you're looking for good reads on fights. Unlike these jabronis, where you got Just Win Baby, who often does Liam's pick fights. He also has his own channel. This guy makes bad picks. He doubles down on his bad picks. He doesn't use logic when he's making his bad picks. And he's kind of just a dick to the people in the comments who are commenting for his algorithm. So he's just kind of a dick who makes bad picks. It's pretty much as simple as that. Lucas Tracy, as I told you guys on the last show briefly, the reason we don't like Lucas Tracy here at Aggregate MMA is that he's a very low effort capper. And for someone who has 35,000 subscribers plus, you figure someone would have a little bit of time to put into this to actually get you guys good information for your hard-earned money. And Lucas Tracy doesn't do that. Lucas Tracy, a couple weeks ago when Fatima Klein was fighting Jasmine Judavicius, he got the pick right by picking Jasmine, but he didn't even bother to look who Fatima Klein is. He says, I don't know who Fatima Klein is, so I'm just going to pick Jasmine. Dude couldn't take 10 minutes out of his day to actually look up who a fighter was in one of the fights he's making a pick on. He's making picks without knowing who fighters are. And this is the guy you want to trust? No, sir. No, sir. Not here. Then we got Fight Fairy. I don't even know if her channel's still up. Her boyfriend's in the corner of the room feeding her picks, and he's bad at handicapping. People like to watch her because she's the cute little chick with the pixie cut who talks about how skinny fighters are faster and stuff. Like, stop, y'all. Sliding in her DMs ain't going to work. She ain't going to fuck you. So just don't waste your time. Clinbat is probably the biggest joke of all the cappers out there in every way possible. But he tries really hard. So we give him an A for effort and an F for execution. But this guy's just atrocious at everything. And if you watch him, he's like kind of cringe. So I would definitely not, unless you're looking to cringe. If you're looking to cringe, then by all means, give Clinbat a watch. And Petrie with the Anakin Florian podcast, man, I have to watch this guy because I like Kenny Florian's picks. And Petrie, man, he actually picked Bilal Muhammad this week. And I've picked Bilal Muhammad this week. So that actually, he's such a bad handicapper that it actually makes me worry about that pick. Because Brian Petrie, all he does, you know that song, all I do is win, win, win. No, all Petrie does is lose. No matter what. So he's the one person on this list that could eventually earn his way back into our good graces because I'm forced to watch his picks every week. But from what I've seen over the last several months, 3-4 months, this guy is just atrocious at picking fights. So now on to what we want, the aggregate totals for the week. So we're going to have 16 to 17 cappers total this week. who we have taken the picks from. Again, that is the people on this screen. And this is what the total looks like for the main event. We got Edwards 11, Muhammad 5. Personally, I'm going to give y'all my pick. It's still going to be Muhammad. I just think Leon Edwards is massively overrated. He lands 2 significant strikes per minute. He's going to be the less active fighter in this fight. He will have the home crowd advantage, which will possibly lead him to getting a sticky decision his way that he didn't earn. But I'm going to go with the wrestling and pressure of Bilal Muhammad. I don't think Leon knows what he's in for. I think Leon's taking this a little lightly. I think this is the most serious fight of Bilal's career, and he knows it. Bilal knows this is the last chance he's going to get at a title shot. And so my pick is actually going to be against the aggregate. I'm going to go with Bilal Muhammad. But as you can see, it's not close, but it's not as far apart as most of the fights on this card. There are quite a few, and quite a few of the cappers that I trust the most are going with Bilal Muhammad. I think people are picking Edwards. I don't know why so many people are picking Edwards, and it's on social media too. I think people think this guy's just better than he is. He beat a completely dusted Colby who wasn't even trying. He barely beat Usman with the head kick at the end in a fight he was losing. Usman then checked out completely his commentary duty. Leon Edwards doesn't have that many good wins, y'all. Like, he doesn't. He just doesn't. This is going to be the hardest fight he's had in a long time. And I think people are going to be surprised. I really do believe that. Aspinall 15, Blades 1. So I finally saw somebody pick Blades. The general consensus on this is that Aspinall is going to probably win a quick knockout victory. But even a lot of the people who picked Aspinall know and have said that if it gets out of the second round and into the third round, this fight could get sticky for the Aspinall bettors, because Blades is going to have the more proven cardio. We don't know if it's better necessarily, but we do know it's more proven. He will be able to fight 5 rounds, and his wrestling is going to, if he chooses to use it, which he hasn't in a while, will start to possibly become more prevalent in the later this fight goes. So it's very important for Aspinall to get Blades out of here early, and that's what I think is going to happen. My pick with this fight is going to be Tom Aspinall, and you can see it's 15-1. Green and Pimblett, definitely one of the closest fights this week according to the aggregate. You got 9 people picking Bobby Green and 7 picking Paddy Pimblett. My pick for this fight has been going back and forth and back and forth. I know that Green is the more experienced, better fighter here, but I love the home field advantage for Paddy Pimblett. I like the size advantage Paddy Pimblett's going to have, and I think Bobby Green is taking Paddy Pimblett very lightly. And to some degree it's warranted, because Paddy Pimblett, believe it or not, he's not had a lot of good performances in the UFC. He's actually looked pretty shoddy in some of his fights. However, I'm going to go with my gut on this one. I'm going to take the slight side of the aggregate as well, and my pick's at Paddy Pimblett. I think if it goes to a decision, he has a funny way of winning, especially with maybe home crowd judges. And I do think he's going to effectively be able to try to grapple with Bobby Green. I know that also goes against data and metrics, but as you can see, there are a lot of handicappers that agree with me. If he gets on Bobby Green, he's going to be able to stick to Bobby Green. Now, I give you full disclosure, I'm not a Bobby Green fan. He says he's humble, but he's humble. I don't know if you've seen that movie Connor for Real, where he sings a song about being the humblest, but really it's a whole song about how he's not humble. And that's what Bobby Green strikes me as. I'm not going to call him King Green. That shows you how humble he is. He just changed his name to King Green. This man is not humble. His fighting style is not humble. He has his hands down, hands low, doing a lot of showboating in there. I don't think he's taking Paddy Pimblett seriously at all. I think if he was, I might lean more his way, because I do think he's the more well-rounded, more experienced mixed martial artist. But for me, give me the hometown guy here. I'm going to take Paddy Pimblett. Makayev versus Cape. This is a pick flip for me, boys. Earlier in the week, I was on Cape after watching all the analysts. And as you can see, it is still a 9-6 split here. So it's not a very strong majority one way or the other. I just have to believe that based on what we've seen, even though Makayev has looked real sketch against sketchier fighters than Cape, and Manel Cape is a good fighter, I just really, I'm pick flipping. I believe that Makayev, his pressure wrestling, he's going to stick to Cape like glue, not give him the space he needs, and probably grind out a very boring decision. That being said, this is a very low confidence pick for me. For most of the people picking this that I've watched, none of them are extremely high confidence on one side or the other. Everybody knows this is a close fight. Makayev, like I said, he basically was losing to Tim Elliott, who is an inferior version of Manel Cape. So this is going to be a really close fight. It could go either way. It's just going to come down, excuse me, to whether Makayev is going to be able to enact his pressure wrestling heavy game plan. As of this moment, I believe he is going to. But do not bet the farm on Makayev. Manel Cape is very, very capable of winning this fight. But for me and the majority of the aggregate, the pick is going to be Makayev. Then we have Arnold Allen and Giga Chikadze. The pick here for me and the majority of the aggregate is Arnold Allen. I feel even more confident about this after watching weigh-ins. Giga, man, he looked skinny, drawn out, thinned out, just not in a good space after weigh-ins. He just looked really small for some reason. And Allen looks absolutely shredded. He looks juiced. He looks jacked. He looks ready to go. I feel way more confident about this pick than I actually did earlier in the week. And as you can see, most people do. The two people who pick Chikadze feel like if it stays at distance, he's going to have an advantage in distance striking over Arnold Allen. And Giga is typically a higher volume striker than Arnold Allen. But for me, and a lot of the aggregate, obviously, we believe that Arnold Allen has a wrestling in his back pocket if he needs it, that he's not afraid to use it if he needs it. But he's going to be the stronger striker for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks out Giga. I really wouldn't. And looking at them at weigh-ins just made me... It's rare that weigh-ins change my opinion that much on a fight. But on this one, they absolutely do. I am Allen, and I am very, 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 very high confidence with Allen this week. And we got the first clean sweep of the aggregate, and it is Nathaniel Wood, 16, Daniel Pineda, 0. Now, everyone who's picked Wood pretty much acknowledges that Daniel Pineda has a puncher's chance in the first round. He has a submission chance in the first round. But Daniel Pineda only has 3 to 5 minutes of cardio in him. So this might be a good spot to bet Wood live, especially if Pineda comes out strong but is unable to finish Wood. But if Pineda looks really good in the first round, you're going to want to hammer Wood live at a very good rate, because Pineda is going to gas out shortly after. Wood is going to take this fight if it gets out of the first round. And I could see him doing it by any method. I could see him subbing him, TKOing him, or possibly winning a unanimous decision. But the pick here is going to be a very high confidence on Nathaniel Wood, who also looked amazing at weigh-ins. And so did Pineda. Pineda looked really good as well. We got Molly McCann, the meatball, versus Bruna Brazil. Man, let me tell you, Bruna Brazil is actually a lot. She looked a lot prettier in person than she did on her like Tapology or any of that other stuff. She's actually a pretty cute lady. But it doesn't change the fact I think she's just gonna be outmatched here. This is going to be a mid-confidence pick for me, mid to high, and I'm on the Molly McCann side. You know Jacob with We Want Picks will pick the Bruna Brazil because he picks any Brazilian 90% of the time, and her name's Brazil. I honestly don't remember who else picked Bruna Brazil of the aggregate, but I don't think it's a good pick this week, guys. I think McCann she looks in great shape. She's got a home crowd advantage. She looks like she's honestly in the best shape of her career. She's going to be the higher volume striker, higher pressure striker. She might, if she finds herself on the ground in the bottom position, she might be in a little trouble. But Bruna Brazil is a very, very patient striker, and that's not going to bode well. This is a styles make fights kind of thing, and Molly McCann just has everything going for her to win this fight. So very mid to high confidence pick with Molly McCann, and as you can see, most of the best cappers in the game agree. Then we got Mr. Cowlin Loughran versus Jake Hadley, 15-1. The general consensus on this is actually that Hadley is probably the more well-rounded, better fighter, a better striker, better jiu-jitsu, but Loughran's going to be bigger, stockier, more controlling when he gets his pressure wrestling going. And that's how most people think this is going to go, that Loughran's going to get his pressure wrestling going, that he's going to take Hadley down and control him until he either finds a finish or for the majority of the fight. I agree with this assessment. My pick is Cowlin Loughran. I do think I haven't been that impressed with him, honestly, from the tape I've watched. I think he's, for the hype he's had behind him coming in, I think he hasn't looked as good as that. But I do think he has it in him to control a short notice Jake Hadley, who was the one fighter on this card to miss weight. So our pick is going to be Cowlin Loughran. And the second clean sweep of the card, Mick Parkin 16, Lucas Bresky 0. Most people tend to think that Mick Parkin is just better than Bresky in every facet of MMA. I would agree. And then after watching them at weigh-ins, Bresky just doesn't even look like he's all there. Like, he knows he's getting fed to the wolves in this fight. I think he's conceded to that. And I think Mick Parkin is a very high confidence pick. The line, if you've been keeping up with the line movement, it has swelled this week. Parkin started as a much smaller favorite, and now he has swelled into a massive favorite. And I think it's warranted, because I do think he's going to win this fight any way he wants to, and quite easily. Though I have heard a few cappers say that it could get a little sticky if he chooses not to use any sort of clinch game or wrestling. Then we have Oban Elliott versus Preston Parsons. Oban Elliott 2, Preston Parsons 14. So I was actually pretty surprised to even see two people with Oban Elliott. But I'll be honest, I think this fight's close. I think this fight's closer than the aggregate. I think this fight is closer than what my brain tells me it is. Most of the cappers that I have watched handicap this fight, as well as myself, all believe that Preston Parsons is literally better everywhere than Oban Elliott. Literally everywhere. Except for maybe toughness. Oban Elliott has shown to be a pretty tough guy who has his... He finds a way to persevere through sketchy spots. And he's going to find himself in some sketchy spots in this fight. The two people who picked Elliott, one of them picked him because of that. And the other, I think, just picked him because of his nickname. I don't know. But after watching weigh-ins, Parsons looks to be just shredded beyond all belief. But Elliott has a very quiet confidence about him. So this pick was actually very high confidence for me personally throughout the week. And it has gone down. I am only medium, mid confidence on this pick. But I am going to go Preston Parsons, as well as the aggregate is going to go Preston Parsons, because I believe Preston Parsons is the superior fighter at every facet of MMA. And in the fight that I think is the hardest to pick of the entire card, you got Christian Leroy Duncan, CLD, versus Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez. This fight, according to most analysts, is going to come down heavily to whether Rodriguez chooses to use his grappling or whether he wants to make an exciting fight for the fans. Obviously, the more grappling he uses, the better chance he has to win. So when betting this fight or picking your personal winner, really just ask yourself one question. Do I think RoboCop is going to grapple against CLD. And the likelier you think that he is to grapple CLD, the higher confidence pick you should be with him. If you think he's going to stand and bang with CLD, the higher confidence you should be on CLD. I have gone back and forth this week. As you can see, the aggregate number is 9-7. It's a very close, basically pick 'em fight with our handicappers. My pick is going to be Duncan, going to be CLD, because home crowd, and I think he finds a flashy knockout, because I unfortunately am not super confident in RoboCop's fight IQ when it comes to taking the path of least resistance, taking down Duncan, controlling him, and possibly finding a submission. If he does choose to grapple, this could be a quick night for him, and he could end up submitting Duncan very quickly. But with the raucous crowd in England, I have to believe that he's going to want to stand with Duncan for a little longer than he may want to, and it could be his undoing. Still, this is a low confidence pick for me, and it's actually a low confidence pick for most of the people on the aggregate, as this thing could be extremely, extremely close. And you got Kiefer Crosby versus the long neck of Mr. Patterson. Obviously, we have a 15-1 aggregate pick in the favor of Patterson. The one person who picked Kiefer Crosby, I think it was actually, again, with Jacob, with We Want Picks. He definitely is on the schlub end of a lot of these aggregate counts. But, I respect Jacob for that, because he's not a, pussy when it comes to making some of his picks. He'll pick who he thinks is the best pick. Now, pretty much the consensus is that Patterson is better everywhere other than power. And the reason Jacob picked Crosby is because Patterson has shown a weakness to very, very reckless striking, very reckless strikers who are going to be all in from the beginning with a lot of power. Patterson has shown to lose to that style of fight. So I actually don't think his take is horrible. But I'm going to go ahead and side with Patterson. He looks to be in incredible shape after weigh-ins. Definitely the more in shape of the two, ready to go longer. Better cardio, better grappling, probably cleaner striking. And Crosby's not really the biggest submission threat to grab a hold of that long neck of Patterson's. Though Patterson's long neck does leave his chin exposed, and Crosby could clip it. Despite this being a 15-1 aggregate pick, I'm going to say I'm medium confident on Patterson, because I do think Crosby has a reasonable puncher's chance to get this done in the first round. But the pick is going to be Patterson. I'm going to say I believe he'll get it done by second round submission. Shauna Bannon versus Elise Ardelin, the OnlyFans Battle of the Week. I've actually gone back and forth with this one. I think early in the week, on the last video, I picked Ardelin. And I'm just not... this is the fight for me personally that is the hardest to pick. And it could be because it's a quote-unquote low-level women's MMA fight. But I just think this is a good matchup. It's good matchmaking. Because there's a lot of factors that both women have in their favor. Ardelin has the better grappling, better control, and the higher volume output on the feet. Bannon's going to be the more accurate technical striker. She's got a lot of reach advantage as well. If there's one fight that I'm hesitant to make a pick on, it's this one, because I truly could see this going either way. I think that most people with aggregate, most of these cappers have picked Bannon due to the short notice nature of the fight for Ardelin, and the fact that she's in the UFC, whereas Ardelin kind of got this opportunity because somebody dropped out. She was really a Contender Series person. This fight for me comes down to very similar to the CLD RoboCop fight. If you think Ardelin is going to be able to employ grappling successfully, pick her. If you don't, pick Bannon. I like the line on Ardelin. I think this is a pick 'em fight. and I think the value of the betting side lies with Ardeline. However, my gut is telling me that this fight is set up for Shauna Bannon, Mama B, to win. So my official pick is going to be Bannon. But if you're trying to bet this fight straight up, I would actually take the side of Ardeline because I think this is an extremely close fight and the odds are a little, as my friend would say, dusty in the favor of Bannon. I don't think she should be nearly as big of a favorite as she is. And then the other hardest fight to pick that I have been back and forth with, I actually have action on both of these guys in various parlays. I can't make up my mind. Yesterday I felt one way. Today I felt another. The day before that I felt another. Obviously, it's a very close fight according to the aggregate. This looks like it's going to come down to Bukowski's power, youth, cardio advantage versus Prochnio's volume advantage. The longer this fight goes, the more it should, in theory, favor Prochnio. But, and I believe I'm going to pick flip this from earlier in the week where I was on Prochnio. And I actually have quite a bit of action on Prochnio that I can't really back out of now. But I think this fight could go either way. This is going to be a low confidence Bukowski's pick for me. And it actually was solidified at weigh-ins today. He just looked better. He looked more in shape. He looked meaner and just ready to go. And there's just something you could see sometimes in somebody's eye that kind of tips you off that they're ready to go. Prochnio looked kind of not in great shape. He looked kind of like glazed over and kind of not all in on this fight. So as of this morning, unfortunately for quite a few of my parlays that I put in this week, I'm going to pick Bukowskis, but it is going to be a very, very, very low confidence pick. As this fight could easily go either way. It's probably just a pass. All right, guys, that's the aggregate. Like I said, we're trying to keep this video under 30 minutes for y'all. That way you can hit it and quit it. That's what the aggregate told us this week. A lot of close fights. Couple of absolute, absolutely lopsided ones like Aspinall, Allen, Wood, McCann, Loughran, Parkin, Parsons. If you put those fights into, and Patterson, if you put those fights into a parlay, my guess is you're going to hit it. I know that sounds crazy because it's like a 6-fight parlay, but I'm telling you right now, if you were to go, again, Aspinall, Allen, Wood, McCann, Loughran, Parkin, Parsons, and Patterson, you will probably hit that parlay. Now, one thing I've noticed since I've been doing this, one of those fights is usually a landmine. So don't be surprised if you make that parlay and you miss it by one fight, because there's always one massive favorite landmine on these kind of cards. And I don't know who it can be. My best guess is that it's going to be either Patterson or Parsons that loses their fights. So in my opinion, if you want like a 4-fight parlay that is like as surefire as surefire can get, you go Aspinall, Allen, Wood, and McCann. You won't get great odds on it, but it's almost surely going to hit. So, good luck with the betting this week, guys. I want to thank y'all for stopping by. Please drop a like and a sub so we can get the word out, so we can get higher budget, so we can get this thing rolling and get you guys quicker, better graphics, and all kinds of goodness. But again, just thanks for coming by. Thanks for checking out the aggregate. Hope you come back to see us next week. And much love, guys. Good luck with your bets this week for UFC 304. We are out.
All the best picks from all the best cats. This is Aggregate MMA.